Good evening, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co host. That's right, I said co host. I titled this Chalk Talk with Scotty Webb and myself as we are trying to get into a little rhythm here. A little Tuesday, Thursday night baseball talk as we get closer to the WBC. We get closer to actual spring training games. I think Boston, Northeastern. Red Sox always start with Northeastern. I think they start on Friday. Um, grapefruit, cactus, whatever you want to call it. But the WBC in less than 2 weeks, and then first pitch MLB about a month away. So excited. And what better way to get everyone excited? And everyone, grab your notepads. Go grab a cold one. Grab some popcorn, peanuts, and Cracker Jack. Pencil us in on Tuesday and Thursday nights. Tuesday nights probably around 7 o'clock. Thursday nights around 9. We're just going to talk some baseball. You can come into our DMs, ask away there. You can send us an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. You can go to Scotty or myself on Twitter at East Coast Sports Invest or Webby20MLB and just ask away. You got a good favorite team? You want to know about the lineup, the pitching staff, if you got any futures, divisions, whatever it is. The only dumb question is the one we don't ask. So without further ado, let's bring him in from the Palm Tree State himself, the one and only Mr. Scott E. Webb. Good evening, young man.
Yes, sir. Younger every day, I think. You can just all tell by all this gray hair and receding hairline, and I think I'm pretty much getting bald on top. I'm getting younger every day, man.
Listen, okay? Same here. Trust me. I said something to the wife the other day. I was like, I think I'm getting another haircut. I thought you just got one. I was like, yeah, about a month ago, So, anyways, we got over 900 shows on our YouTube channel. A far cry from about 18 months ago, my young friend. And the reason I'm bringing it up is not one of those. Not one has ever been scripted. And I don't even usually let anyone in on knowing what was going. We're a perfect serving volley. I throw a question out, you answer it. I rebuttal, vice versa. But tonight, it's funny. Mass Mobile launches their apps in March 10th. So all the companies are coming out, sign up before we launch, get this, get that. And Mass really isn't allowing it, but DraftKings is $200, FanDuel 100. I think Caesars is 200, yada, yada, yada. So you just get them all up, get all the freebies. And of course, $200 free dollars is $25 bets. You got 8 of them and you got, 72 hours to get them all done. Something stupid. You know how it is. But my point is I was downloading something and it didn't work because Massachusetts isn't up yet. So I apologize for a couple minutes of delay. How are you, Scotty?
Man, I am well. I mean, it's I had a pretty good day yesterday. So was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Maybe it was the day before. So I ordered these World Baseball Classic tickets, and I paid for them. And sure enough, I got the thing that you're set, right? Your tickets will come. They come, and then I get this thing that comes across. I don't know what I was doing. I was surfing through one of those social media sites, and I don't know which one it was, but I see Rob Friedman, pitching ninja, right? So I see his stuff come up, and I'm like, holy shit, there's a Team USA pitching ninja shirt. Holy shit, I think I want one of those. So I order one of those, and then I'm telling my wife, I'm like, all this stuff is going on really good, and we were going to go to the World Baseball Classic together. And then she goes, well, let's see, there's this hotel. Well, it's really an apartment, but it's right across the street from where the game is. I'm like, what do you mean it's across? We can walk there. And I'm like, okay, that sounds really good. And she says, and the dogs will be okay in the room. And I go, the dogs are going to the World Baseball Classic? How did that happen? And she goes, well, we can't go anywhere without the dogs. So I go, well, you better figure that out because the dogs ain't going to their World Baseball Classic. So I go, but anyway, how much was this apartment for one night? She goes, oh, it was like $450. And I go, $450? She goes, yeah, but that doesn't include, the taxes and everything else that you have to pay on top of that. So it'd be like over $500. And I go, babe, I'm not going to be in a damn room long enough to be in there to drop my shit off and then go to the game and then have a good time and then come back and then go to sleep, get up and drive home. I don't need to pay $550 for some hotel apartment room that we got to have dogs for. So long story short, right? A couple of things happened. So the first thing that happened was yesterday, my tickets showed up. So hey, look, I got my tickets. They're actually in I don't want to say in hand. They're in my phone. They're ready to go. I'm ready. I can walk into the game. So I'm good to go with the tickets. Secondly, I got a notification today that Rob Friedman, my pitching ninja baseball shirt, will be here tomorrow. So I'm like, holy shit, this is going great. And then my wife goes, well, I was thinking about these dogs and I don't want to take the dogs and I was going to take them to a kennel, but I was in a group chat with my sister. I'm like, what does this have to do with anything? And she goes, well, Bob, her husband, a bucket list item is to go to the World Baseball Classic. That's a bucket list item for him. He's all excited, wants to go. And I said, you know what? You don't have to go, babe. So Bob lives in Ohio, got tickets, flying down here, going to go with me to the game. He actually paid for half his ticket. He's paying for half the hotel room that we now have. And I'm like, this couldn't have worked out any better for me. I'm all excited now.
I had a feeling this was going in that direction. So, you know what? Before we basically have broken down the AL and NL, American League East. We talked some Centrals with the Guardians and a few other teams. We talked a little about the Cardinals and a few other that. Before we dig into the NL and AL West a little more, I have the DraftKings odds up right now for the World Baseball Classic for you. A lot of money's coming in on the Dominican Republic. They're now plus 200. You can get the USA plus 275. Your Japan side is plus 300. Then it gets funny. Venezuela at 1,000, Puerto Rico 1,100, Korea Republic 1,200, Mexico 2,000, Cuba 2,500, and then you got 5,000 for Chinese Taipei, Canada, the Netherlands 6,500, Australia 13,000, and I'm not even going to go through the rest of them. So I know you already initially broke down why you like Japan. And then obviously you're assuming DR versus USA winner plays Japan. But I'm going to give you the screen right now to get everyone where you are, where you started, and just get them the people that haven't opened a book or know anything about the World Baseball Classic. Get them caught up to speed, Scotty.
Well, there's a couple of things, right? So one of the things about the World Baseball Classic that I don't think people truly know is how do these teams actually get there? I mean, how do they get to where they are? And the top 20 teams. So there's 4 pools, and each pool has 5 teams: Pool A, Pool B, Pool C, Pool D. And there's 5 teams in each pool. Well, 4 of those 5 teams are automatic qualifiers. They're in the based off of their ranking in the world. So then there's a playoff qualifying tournament that they actually play. And that tournament happened last year, and there was 4 teams that made it into that tournament. I think Great Britain was one of them. Panama was one of them. I think Nicaragua was one of them. And the other one, I think, was the Czech Republic. Those are the 4 teams that came out of there, and teams like Germany and Spain and France, and I can't remember some of the other team names, but those teams all didn't make it out of that tournament. Oh, Brazil was one of the teams that didn't make it. So all these teams now is how they get to the World Baseball Classic, and then based on actually being in the World Baseball Classic, then they can start getting their rosters together. And obviously the teams want to, they want to get talent from their own countries, but they don't have to have talent from their own countries. They just have to have players that want to play for that country. So, Team USA is stacked, and Team Dominican Republic is stacked. I mean, these two, they're just loaded with Hall of Famers and all-star players. I mean, they're just both of those two teams are just unbelievable. Team Japan is being undervalued, and I got some information for you today, Jeff, that I think will you might want to go to the window. Anyway, the idea being is that these teams have gone from a start, and I think the year was 2009, maybe. I'm trying to remember back. I'm old, can't remember that far back. But I think it was 2009. So 2009, 2013, 2017, and then this one. So what's happened is it started in 2009, and it was really more almost about like college kids. Some prospects played, some people you've heard of played, and they're trying to figure out how do they do it during spring training and all that stuff. So there was not a lot of hype to it. Japan won the first time. Second time, 2013. That's when the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and Venezuela, those teams were really good. And there was a lot of hype and a lot of fun and a lot of craziness happening. And back then, those Latin teams played in the Latin America. They didn't play like they are this time. They're playing in Miami this year, but so it will still have the same feel for them, but it's not in their home countries. Anyway, it's interesting how that grew out of there. Robinson Cano, I believe, was the MVP of that year, 2013, and Japan won that one too. And then 2017 happened, and 2017 is where things kicked off for almost everywhere, because the Latin teams were still great, and you still had all the parade, so to speak, that goes on at the stadium, where the fans are just horn blowing, going crazy, just waving flags and watching the guys play. It's like watching the college game, because there's so much enthusiasm, chest pumping, and bat flipping, and it's just a great game to watch when you're watching all of that, and you got these great talented players. But that's where Team USA came to play, and they brought some talent with them, and Team USA won. So because Team USA won, then you run into, now it was going to be this big hype thing for 2021, and holy crap, it was going to be great, and then COVID happened, so they canceled it all. So this is the first one since 2017. And now when you start to, when I told you that the teams were stacked, let me get my roster out here so I can kind of tell you a little bit more about some of these teams and what it looks like. So for Team USA, and we didn't talk a ton about Team USA the last time. I think we talked a little bit about Team Dominican Republic, but they have two of the best catchers in Major League Baseball on this team. JT Realmuto and Will Smith from the Dodgers. So those two guys would never have played in this event in 2017, and they certainly would have played in 2013, and nobody would know what was going on in 2007 or 9 or whatever it was. So at this point, I think what you're seeing is this is just phenomenal growth of this event. And the players who are playing are so enthused about playing for Team USA. It's amazing. So you've got JT Realmuto, Will Smith, and Kyle Higashioka. Those are the catchers. Now, what I find funny, I shouldn't say funny, find hard about some of these things is that these guys will be in their own camp. They started with camp with their Major League Baseball teams, but then they're going to go to this team. They're going to go to this team's camp. And they're going to practice and play and work together, and then go play these games. And I say that because who carries 3 catchers on a baseball team? So it means that Kyle Higashioka, for example, he doesn't rate with those other guys. So how many at bats is he going to get? And this is spring training, right? So he's supposed to be getting ready for the Yankees. So I don't know how many at bats he's going to get and how it's all going to play out. So So yes, these are meaningful games. They mean everything to these teams and the players that are playing them. Hey, TJ, but at the same time that I say that, it is spring training, so they do need to get their work in, and that becomes very evident when they watch the pitchers because the pitchers will be on their spring training pitch counts. So, a starting pitcher might only go 45 pitches and he's done. And then if they make it far enough and he's still there, that he can pitch, 60 pitches maybe the next time out. These guys, hey, Chris Newman, these guys are not going to be guys that are out here, and they're not going to be guys that are going 7, 8, 9 innings. That's just not how it works. They're getting their work in just as they would in spring training. But these are way more competitive games. You'll see these are. If you never watched it, it's like watching playoff baseball. That's exactly what it is. It's like watching the World Series, and these games mean everything to these teams and the players. But here's a list of the infielders for the Americans: Pete Alonso, Tim Anderson, Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, Trey Turner, Jeff McNeil, Bobby Witt Jr. I mean, that's just an awesome field of players. And their outfield is Mookie Betts, Cedric Mullins, Kyle Schwarber, Mike Trout, and Kyle Tucker. I mean, this is an all-star game. This is an all-star team. I mean, and the best of those guys. So here's the problem. Their best pitcher, as best as I can tell, they're gonna tell you it's Adam Wainwright. Okay, well, if your best pitcher is 42 years old, that's not very good. But I'm going to tell you their best pitcher is Brady Singh. Okay, well, that's not the greatest thing in the world either. You're not rolling Max out there. You're not rolling, Verlander out there. And you're not, and Team Dominican Republic has got, the National League Cy Young winner. He's going to be out there. Sandy Alcantara is going to be pitching. So Lance Lynn is going to pitch for Team USA. So I think you're going to see that Team USA will struggle in the pitching, but they got guys that can hit. But when you start to match it up to what the Team Dominicans have, I mean, go to Team Dominican Republic here and go down this list of players: Nelson Cruz, Eloy Jimenez, Teoscar Hernandez, Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto, Ketel Marte, Rafael Devers, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Manny Machado, Wander Franco, Jeremy Pena, Gene Segura. I mean, Jesus.
Okay, so just I'll stop you right there. Give me their ace. You said
Sandy Alcantara.
Okay. Who else do they have for pitches?
The next guy that is the guy that pitches for the Astros, Christian Javier.
All right, so I'll give you a gift. I'll give you the USA. I'll take the Dominican for a couple cigars. How's that sound?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Here's what everybody. So they play. So the whole encapsulation of this is Team C or Pool C plays Pool D on the right side of the bracket. Team Pool A and Pool B are on the left side of the bracket. So Pool C and Pool D are going to be in the semifinals before the finals. So that means Team USA and Team Dominican Republic cannot both play in the final game. They can't, because they're going to be at best in the semifinal game. Now that means they got to go through Puerto Rico and they got to go through Venezuela too. Those are two decent teams. I mean, you've got Edwin Diaz that plays for Puerto Rico. You've got Fernando, the guy that plays shortstop for the Mets. That guy. Lindor, yeah. So you've got these guys that are talented. They're going to play on these teams. So you still got to beat them though. But the depth of the talent of the Dominican Republic is something else. I mean, it's just holy shit. But here's where I think the value is Team Japan Team Japan. Let me pull up the pools for 1 second because this might be a little bit better way to understand. So Team Japan is in a pool with Korea, Australia, China, and the Czech Republic. Okay, well, the Czech Republic made it as a qualifier, and they don't have anybody you ever heard of before. And then the China team that is here, and I don't know what their odds are, plus 2,000 or something, like 20,000.
20,000.
Well, yesterday, Team China played a amateur team from I don't remember where. They got beat 16-0. So that 20,000 maybe ought to be 100,000. They're not going to come out of this pool. Australia, go ahead.
Well, your Australia team, okay, the Czech and China are the two worst ones. You said Australia's at 13,000. My question is, the Korean Republic's plus 1,200. They must have some talent.
Well, that's the Korean baseball league. I mean, that's what we saw on TV during the pandemic stuff. That's what you saw.
KBO.
So yes, the KBO. So when you're watching the KBO, and I said it back then, and I got attacked for saying this, by the way, but I'll say it again just because it's fun. The KBO is not as good as the Japanese league. It is not as good as the United States league. And if you were to compare the Japanese or the Korean league with AAA baseball players, I might take some AAA teams over those teams. So it's not that high level of talent. They're not as good. So they have a couple of guys that'll stand out because that's the way every league is. But and it's organized baseball, and they play a lot and play in front of big stadium fans, and it's fun to watch that. I'm not saying it's not a great league to watch, but anything can happen in the KBO. I mean, they can hit a fly ball left field, and the guy might not catch it. So I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean that that's the quality of baseball that you're watching. Now Japan is a lot different. Japan would beat all the AAA teams. Those guys would beat those players. So then you have on Pool A, which is the weakest pool of all of them, Chinese Taipei, the Netherlands, Cuba, Italy, and Panama. Okay. I think probably the Netherlands and Cuba are probably the best teams over there. So you might see the Netherlands come out of that. You might see Cuba come out of that. All right. Well, those two teams, so say those two teams come out, and then Japan and Korea come out of Pool B, and those four teams kind of have a little playoff between the other, and then you have a champion of Pool A, a champion of Pool B, then a champion of Pool C, a champion of Pool, and then that's how you get to the finals, right? And then they all come to the United States to play. So Japan, in my mind, has I don't want to call it a cakewalk because I don't think that's probably the right way to say it. But I would tell you that I think that it's a cakewalk for them to get to the finals. So then you have to look at it as a better, and you go, okay, well, if it's a cakewalk for them to get there, they're going to either play one of four teams. They're going to play Team USA, they're going to play Dominican Republic, Venezuela, or Puerto Rico. Those are who they're going to end up playing. They're not going to play, somebody like Mexico. Mexico's not going to make it that far. So having said all of those things, I thought as a better, the best bet is to bet on Team Japan. Team Japan's won this thing twice already. And most United States people who watch baseball don't know much about Japanese baseball, but it's a good quality of baseball. So I made that bet when it was plus 300. I'm surprised it's still plus 300. And if people were watching this show tonight, it probably won't be plus 300 tomorrow. So here's why. So here's I got to pull it up out of my phone for a second just because I got too many other screens open. So what I wanted to tell you is Shohei Ohtani is going to play for Team Japan. So think about this for a minute. I don't care if Sandy Alcantara is on the mound for Team Dominican Republic and you got Shohei Ohtani on the mound on the other side against him. I think that Shohei matches up pretty well. I mean, this guy throws 100 miles an hour. Alcantara doesn't throw 100 miles an hour. Alcantara's not a big strikeout guy. Most people don't really realize that he's not a big strikeout guy. He averages less than nine strikeouts per 9 innings. And so I think you're going to have a better pitcher, but maybe not a guy that's going to go as deep, maybe not a better pitcher, but, guy that's got good stuff in Ohtani. So in Ohtani, big home run hitter. So he's like a major star in the United States, and he should be. He's just, he's really the best player in baseball if you can consider what he can do. Of course, not Trout, but Judge had that super year last year, or Ohtani would have been the MVP again. So what if I told you that Ohtani might not be the best player on Team Japan? Holy shit, Jeff! That's
him.
Huh?
Who's better than him?
Okay, so they got this guy that plays third base, and okay, I'm going to butcher these names, man. His name is Munataka Murakami. That's his name. Good enough. Murakami's right. He plays third base for the Tokyo the Yakult Swallows. He's 23. He's 23 years old. So think about that. He's 23. And you know who Sada Harao is? He is the all-time king, like Hank Aaron is over there. He set the home run Japanese record at 55. 55 home runs. So this 23-year-old kid hit 56 home runs last year, Jeff. 56. He hit 56 home runs. His batting average was .318 with 56 home runs, 134 RBIs in 140 games. Holy shit. So the kid can hit. So and not only can he hit for average. And you know how this works, right? I mean, we all know that you got slap hitters and all that stuff in Japan. They don't strike out as much and all that stuff. And they don't have, hard throwing pitchers. They got guys over there that, throw that goofy stuff when the ball moves 18 different directions. Well, what if I told you Roki Sasaki, who pitches for Chiba in the Lotte Marines, that's where they are, Lotte Marines. He had a 19 strikeout perfect game against the Oryx Buffaloes last season, and then the very next game he went out and threw 8 more innings where he struck out what was it? Doesn't say how many. Oh, he had 8 more perfect innings after that. So he threw 17 perfect innings straight. And he had he's 20, by the way. Kid's 21 years old. And you know what he throws at his fastball? 102 on the gun. 102 on the gun. Okay. Holy shit, Jeff. Here's a guy who threw 129 and 30, struck out 173 guys who don't strike out in that league. So then they got another guy that you sit there and you go, okay, Sasaki might be, this fun guy to watch. Well, you guys don't know nothing yet because they got Yoshinobu Yamato. Okay, I don't know. That's close enough. The Oryx Buffaloes pitcher. He's won the Cy Young Award for that league 2 years straight. Last year he was 18-5 with a 1.39 earned run average, 206 strikeouts and 193 innings. The year before that, he was 15-5, 168 earned run average and 205 strikeouts. He's the best pitcher they got. So, okay, where does Ohtani fit in that group? And then they got this other kid, Yoshida Matsutaka. Well, you know who that is. He's coming over to play for the Red Sox. And then they got some other guy that, I don't know, some other 20-year-old pitcher that pitches for the Chunchi Dragons that does all kinds of crazy crap for them. So listen, don't sleep on this team because this team, they had Yu Darvish. Did I say that? I mean, this is a team that can win. I guarantee you this team can win. And they will play that way because that's how Japan plays. Anyway, I think plus 300 is not a bad gig for that team.
Well, we're going to keep an eye. We still got less than 2 weeks to go over there. They're up. We'll see. Actually, too. I'm going to keep track and see how many of these numbers are moving. It'll be interesting to see that. I'm going to pull up some MLB stuff for you right now. I was on Sports Map Radio yesterday with Anthony Pepe co-hosting from 8 to 10. And in the Beantown Brawler, I get asked 5 questions. And the first question was my best future in the MLB this year. And I don't think I got cute. I don't think I got coy. I just like the value. I took the Padres plus 140 to win the West.
I don't mind that. I think the Padres win the West.
Okay.
I think that that's a good bet. I mean, I talked, I think, on this show on Tuesday where I thought Minnesota was a good value in the AL Central because I think they're getting overlooked a little bit. Now, they're not, we just talked about these super teams. We're not talking about the Minnesota Twins as a super team. You can talk the Padres like that, though. Holy shit. The Padres might take Team Dominican's whole roster and put them on their side. So that's kind of how good they are. So go ahead.
The funny thing about the Padres, and we know now, back in the old days, the market is not like it is now. They move every day, every week. Okay. So if here's the problem why I like the Padres and the plus money. And I understand the other side of this too. You're getting the Dodgers at the cheapest price ever to win the division. Let me see something. Division winners right here. I'm going to go on DraftKings and I'm going to make one point, which I was curious what you think here. Okay, so the
Dodgers
National
125.
Dodgers are minus 125. So you, in other words, if the Dodgers started slow and the Padres started hot, you're never going to get plus money on the Padres. But someone could say this. Tatis ain't playing for the first 20 games, right? So what happens if the Dodgers and the Giants, for instance, or let's just say the D-backs, and let's just say the Padres play 500 ball to start the year, you could get a bigger number than plus 140. Currently now plus 130. I must have moved the number 10 cents. But my point is, you get these teams hot and they get on, listen, the Dodgers year after year get on these stupid 30-5 runs. I get all that. But my point is, if someone said, hey, the Dodgers at minus 25, you're never going to see a better number. Tatis is out the first 20 games. I get that part, but I'm looking at it at the other side. I don't know if the Padres get out early, if you're ever going to get plus money, especially plus 140 or 130.
Well, let's say this. Let's rest assured the Dodgers get off to a good start. The reason I'm looking at their schedule. So they open at home against the Diamondbacks.
Okay.
They beat the shit out of the Diamondbacks. Then they get the Rockies for 2 games. Oh, shit. They beat the shit out of the Rockies. Then they go to the Diamondbacks. Beat the shit out of the Diamondbacks again. Then they get to Giants at home. Well, they pretty much owned that series. I don't think it's going to be too much different this year, but it could be. Then they get to Cubs at home. Then they get to Mets. Okay, that's going to be the first time they get it, but it's a home time against the Mets. Then they go play at the Cubs. Then they get to Pirates. Okay, so you got the Diamondbacks, the Rockies, the Cubs, the Diamondbacks again. You got the Pirates in there. I mean, what the hell? You got the Mets, and then they end the month with 3 games with the Cardinals. Okay, well, that's pretty good. But my point being is I think they're going to get off to a good start. Now, having said that, that doesn't mean nothing to me. I mean, a good team should beat bad teams. They should. They don't always do that, but they should. So I like the idea that you're going to see the so you talked about, Tatis not playing, right? But you know what everybody forgets? Trey Turner's not playing either because he plays for somebody else. And he's not playing for 162 games. The Dodgers lineup has quality in about the first 4 batters. That's it. So you got Mookie Betts, you got Freddie Freeman, you got Will Smith. What do you got?
JD Martinez.
Well, you got JD, okay, but you follow where I'm going, right? All these people that are sitting here trying to tell me about the Dodgers. This is and even Baseball Prospectus is this way. Here's the problem with the numbers. And hold on, let me go over here to where I'm trying to get to. The problem with the numbers with the Dodgers is they won 100 million games last year. They set a record. It's a record number for the Dodgers. That's more than they've won. So if you're going to tell me that, okay, the Dodgers, they lose this guy, they do this, what's the Dodgers? They're going to be really good. Oh, whatever, right? That's what everybody says. Okay, well, Walker Buehler ain't walking out there and pitching this year. So you're going to run into the idea of here's their lineup: Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith. Okay, that's pretty good. Max Muncy, JD Martinez, Gavin Lux. Is that real good? Is that a championship team? Is that a 110 win team? And then Trace Thompson, David Peralta, and Miguel Vargas. Shit, some of these guys you ain't never heard of. I mean, I know who they are, but the point I'm trying to make is this ain't the same team. This is not the same guys that have been there, right? You don't have Big Red there anymore. You don't have Trey Turner there. You don't have Cody Bellinger. And I know Cody Bellinger was struggling, but you don't have they won with those guys. Those guys are pedigree players. You don't have those. So then on the mound, your best pitcher that you have is Clayton Kershaw. Now, get it. Clayton Kershaw can still go out there and he can pitch, but he isn't the Clayton Kershaw that was 5 years ago, Clayton Kershaw. He's the old man Clayton Kershaw who throws a curveball and gets you out because you hit the ball into the ground. That's what he does. And if he's not on, he gets ripped. And then your next guy is Julio Urias. Okay, I like Julio Urias. He's a good pitcher. I'm okay with him. And then Tony Gonsolin, he's just a guy that goes out there and gets the job done, but he's not a monster guy with stuff. And then you got Noah Syndergaard, who we talked about is going to be back to more floor than he was before, but we'll see. And then you got Dustin May, right? We don't know what's going to be going on with Dustin May. So that's a decent pitching staff, but it's not a dominant pitching staff by any stretch. And their bullpen that's always been really good is still pretty good, but it's not necessarily as good as it used to be. So I don't think the Dodgers have any reason to think they're going to win more than 90 games. And if they don't win more than 90 games, Jeff, then they sit there and they go, they can't lose more than 20 games than they won last year. Well, sure shit they can. You won 111 games, you go to 100 games as a great season, take them 11 games off. And if you're worst team, you can lose 10 games. That's 20 games worse. I think they can be an 89, 88, 87 win team and fight to get into the wild card. That's what I think the Dodgers are.
I mean, the West itself, you look at it. Your Dodgers minus 125, Padres plus 130, and then it's Giants plus 1,000, Arizona 5,500, and Colorado 18,000.
The Diamondbacks that everybody's saying, hey, keep an eye on the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks, they're a surprise team. Kiss my ass.
American League West, Astros minus 180, Seattle plus 310, Angels plus 850, Rangers plus 850, Oakland plus 20,000. Give us your thought process on the American League West.
The Astros are the best. I don't think that anybody's going to take them down as the champion. Now, the Astros are going to start off a little bit behind the 8 ball here because McCullers is not going to start off. He's going to miss maybe a month. I don't think there's anything structurally wrong. I think that they are saying, hey, look, you're not going to throw now for 2 more weeks because he hurt his arm again. So he's on rest protocol, and from what I've seen and heard, everything about what's happening with him is the rest is going to be fine. Then they get him ramped up and he can pitch again. So, but that doesn't mean that you still don't have a good pitching lineup for the Astros. I mean, what surprised me last year was how good Framber Valdez became. Because I actually thought I didn't think he was going to be as good as the other kid, Garcia. I thought Garcia was going to be better, but he wasn't even close. I mean, Framber Valdez, left-handed guy, throws 95, 96 miles an hour. But Jeff, he set the record for ground ball percentage. I mean, I think you heard me probably talk about that last year a lot with him. He had. I'm going to pull him up just because it's an amazing number. Leaders. There we go. Pitching Astros. Let's go. Astros, and there they are. So Framber Valdez, he had a FIP number of 3.06, earned run average 2.82, xFIP 2.99. He was only second on the team to Verlander. He was really good. WAR was 4.4. Ground ball percentage, Jeff, and if you're at 50% ground ball rate, that's pretty good. I mean, your average guys starter-wise is going to be around that number. Your big volume, high fastball guys like Verlander, they get fly balls. They don't get ground balls. His ground ball rate was only 37.9, so much lower. Framber Valdez, 66.5% ground ball rate. 66.5. I mean, holy shit, everything he throws, they hit it in the ground. That's all he does. He throws up there, they hit it in the ground. So he either strikes them out or they hit it in the ground. Strikes them out, hits them in the ground. So that guy pitched really, really, really well and surprised me. And what I think you're going to see from that team in terms of pitching with the Astros is the same thing. I mean, you're going to have, and this is what's going to shock the shit out of you. Well, maybe not. You got Framber Valdez, who's he's a number one now, basically. And then Christian Javier. Christian Javier is a pitcher that I've always liked, but they've always not really had a room for him and a spot for him. He's always been a kind of, okay, I'll spot start for you and I'll relief and I'll come in. I keep looking at his stuff and I'm going, man, you strike out everybody. What's going on with him? So last year, he finally got a chance to pitch some when McCullers got hurt and did some stuff. So he's like a number two now. So then they moved Luis Garcia back to number 3. And I think he had a little bit of a regression last year. I didn't think he was as good. And Jose Urquidy, which I think is an okay pitcher. I mean, certainly a number 4 is pretty good. And now, but if you put McCullers back in there, holy shit, that's pretty damn good. So McCullers ain't going to pitch. So you remember a guy named Forrest Whitley?
Mm-hmm.
Forrest Whitley was a top 5 prospect in all of Major League Baseball. He's had some issues, had some surgeries and whatever. Never really got a chance. Well, I only bring up his name because there's a guy on that team. His name is Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown is a pitcher that threw in AAA last year. His strikeout rate was 11.38 per 9. ERA 2.55, xFIP 3.5, and the kid's going to take McCullers' spot. He's going to pitch 5th in the rotation, and this kid has a chance to be the Forrest Whitaker that never was Forrest Whitaker. This kid can pitch. The guy is I'm trying to see how big he is. Where's my chart? He's 24 years old, so he's ready to go. And I don't have his height and weight. He's a big kid, throws really hard. His fastball is why can't I get this information when I want it on my fingertips? His average fastball 97, Jeff. Just everybody. You're a young kid. Oh, well, if you don't throw 98 miles an hour, you can't pitch no more, man. You got to throw 98 miles an hour or you can't play in Major League Baseball. So here you go. Here's one of these guys that comes out. His fastball is 97 miles an hour. His slider's 93. Okay, good luck. Good luck. 24-year-old kid is going to come out there and just dominate. He starts and he pitches in the 5-hole against some of these old guys that, he's going to go against Rich Hill or somebody, and he'll be like, what the hell is going on? The old Rich Hill's arm falls off as he throws the ball, and you got this kid out here throwing BBs. So in answer to your question, I don't think anybody beats the Astros. Now, having said that, I have my doubts about Seattle. And I know that that's going to come across bad for a lot of people because a lot of people want to root for Seattle and they like Seattle and all that stuff. The Angels, if they're healthy, and I said that's a key thing, and if they're healthy, they're gonna compete every single bit for what Seattle had last year. And my numbers that I'm showing that I like is I like the Angels at least 84 wins, and I think Circa was at 82 wins for them. So I kind of lean to the over with the Angels, and Circa had Seattle at 87. I got them at 84, so I like them a little lower, and a lot of that has to do with the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers pitching got really good, and I got them at 81 wins. So any one of those three teams could make the playoffs, and I don't like those numbers that I saw. What I was looking at from Fangraphs, because Fangraphs says AL West numbers Seattle Mariners plus 310. I think that's a waste of money. If you're not getting as equal odds on Seattle that you would say on the Angels or the Rangers, I think that's a bad bet. That's not something that you should do, because in my mind those are almost equal teams to get to the playoffs.
I'm going to just say this. I think I can read numbers and the market as good as anyone. And it was funny. Last year in the NL Central, we talked about it. I talked to you while I was in Vegas in March. People coming up to me sitting at the Bellagio. Jeff, they're giving money away. Remember the Brewers? How can they lose? I think they opened up minus 120. I think they closed minus 175. And you were getting the plus money on the Cardinals. And I said all year, you said all year, Cardinals was the team in that division. Well, this year the Cardinals are minus 120. The Brewers now are plus 160. The Reds plus 6,000. The Pirates plus 450. Now, I just want to, before I say what I'm going to say, I'm just going to throw out some equal value here in this regards. I'm trying to look for some teams that are close. Angels plus 850. Rangers plus 850. I'm just trying to find some equal value so you understand where I'm coming. There's none. Can you please tell me this? And again, I was born at night, not last night. You know I'm a Cardinal fan. You know I respect the Brewers pitcher. Can you please explain to me in English how the Cubs are only plus 650?
Do you like the Cubs?
I'm just reading the market, and you and I both know it's a coin flip. I mean, when you go and look at these divisions, you said the Astros minus 180, the Mariners are 310, the Angels and the Rangers are plus 850 each. They all should be the same, plus 650, say. I'm looking, like the Mets are plus 130, the Braves 140, the Phillies plus 370, then plus 3,000 and plus 20,000. My point is the Cubs at plus 650 stick out like a sore thumb. Like, I don't understand why they're not plus 2,000.
Right. Well, I've got the Cubs at 10 games behind both St. Louis and Milwaukee. 10 games. So if St. Louis wins 89 and say Milwaukee wins 86, I got the Cubs at 76. That's below 500.
I don't understand the number.
So if it's 650, right? Where am I looking? Here we go. So if it's 650, maybe the Cubs got some money on them. I don't know. I mean, that was the way I would look at it. I know that I've heard. What have I heard? I've heard some of these reporters going, people like the Marlins, people like the Cubs, people like the Diamondbacks, and I'm going, did these people fall off their goddamn chairs? Now, I will say I do like the Marlins. Now, I will say it this way. I like them better. I don't like them. They're not going to compete for anything. And a lot of people think like the Marlins are going to be 500 and try to compete for a playoff spot. Are you kidding me? They got to score. They didn't do nothing to get any better on scoring. Well, they kind of did, but they didn't do much. I mean, look, let me say this the best way I can say this. If you don't have an RBI guy, you're not going to win in Major League Baseball. That's an old school way to put it. But if you don't have one of those guys that's going to drive in 100 runs, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. You got to have one of those guys. And if you don't have one of them, you better have two or three of them that are in the 95 number or above that are really close, because that's what it takes to win these games. It's one thing to get guys on base, but if you don't get them in, who gives a shit that they got on base? And that's what Major League Baseball is not giving credit for these hitters today. The guys that are like Pete Alonso, okay? If you take Pete Alonso off the Mets, TJ, I hope you're listening. If you take Pete Alonso off the Mets aren't any good on offense. Period. They don't have another guy that drives in the runs. He's the guy. The Yankees are the same way with Aaron Judge. If those guys don't drive in the runs, they're not going to score and they're not going to win the games. So if you talk about like the Astros, right? They got guys that can drive in runs, Jeff. More than one guy that can drive in runs. That's when you look at why were the Dodgers so good? Because they got 18 million guys that can drive in runs. So now they lose those guys. So there's value to a lot of things. And, you can say what you want about the Cubs and you can say what you want about the Marlins. You can say what you want about these teams. But until they get guys that can score and help them, Marlins can pitch. The Cubs can't pitch. The Cubs are all up in arms because they got Jameson Taillon. Okay, I'm good with you getting Jameson Taillon. I actually like Jameson Taillon. I think he's a good pitcher, but I don't think he's going to be a savior of a team. You know what I mean? Like, come on. And then they got what's that kid's name that plays center field for them that struggled last year? Seiya Suzuki. Okay, well, wait, never mind. I'm rooting for him. He plays for Japan. So that guy better do well this season, and I think he's going to do well. No, I'm just kidding. So
they added Bellinger.
Well, Bellinger might – well, how do you say this the right way? How old is Bellinger? Bellinger's 27. You know that?
I know.
27. He's still a young kid. That kid could get things turned around. You know what? He's an MVP.
I know.
But now he got released, so he's no good. So yeah, but they also have Trey Mancini, and they got Tucker Barnhart, and they got Dansby Swanson. Okay, you know what batting order position Dansby Swanson hit for the Braves?
7 or 8.
Yeah, 8 or 9 most of the time.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't mean he's a bad player, but you take a guy that's like that on the Braves and you put him on the Cubs, he bats second. He's going to bat behind Nico Horner. Okay, well, how good is Nico Horner? You know what I mean? Like they had projections of guys on their team, and the projections, nobody with 30 home runs, not one guy. Okay, well, what does that tell you? That tells me, they got Eric Hosmer. All right, what's he going to do? He's going to turn around at 32 years old or 33 years old and be, okay, I'm Eric Hosmer that used to play for the Kansas City Royals, and I'm going to hit 35 home runs and drive in 100 runs. Am I that guy? You saw him firsthand in Boston. I mean, come on. I mean, seriously. I mean, I get it. People like the Cubs because they went out. Marcus Stroman. I heard a guy on MLB Network just yesterday, or maybe it was this morning. I don't remember what day. They were talking about the Cubs because they were at Cubs camp, and the guy says Marcus Stroman's going to be in the top 5 for the Cy Young Award this year. What? Marcus Stroman? Okay, Marcus Stroman. He's 32. His best years are behind him. He's going to be lucky to be the best pitcher on the Cubs. Jamison Tyon's there. He's going to have to be better than him. He could be. Justin Steele. You're thrilled about Justin Steele? I like to bet on him every once in a while, but I'm not thrilled about Justin Steele. He's like an ace kind of pitcher. How about Drew Smiley? Drew Smiley's only, 34 years old. Throws the ball, 15 miles an hour. And then they got Adrian Sampson. You know where they got Adrian Sampson from? The KBO. He pitched in the KBO 2 years ago. He pitched for the Cubs last year, and he throws the ball and breaks a clean of glass barely. He doesn't throw hard. So these are guys that are going to get hit. They're going to get hit. So what do? They shirt up their defense. Look, that's smart. If you're going to get guys that get hit, then you shirt up your defense so that you can at least, when the balls hit to them, they can throw them out. But I don't see this team as necessarily much better than they were a year ago. They got players you recognize. But, is Eric Hosmer going to lead this team? Trey Mancini going to lead this team? To what? I think you're right. I think, they ought to be plus 3,000. Or I don't know if it's that far. But to be honest, I have them 10 games behind St. Louis and Milwaukee.
I got a bunch of props and stuff we'll go over next week on DraftKings. I'm going to put some stuff together for you. As we close up here, without you.
Home run. Who's the home run? What's the home runs look like?
Well, that was where I was going with it. I'm going to ask you. This was my wrap-up question to you. DraftKings. Aaron Judge, regular season total homers. What's his over-under?
40.
Wow. 45 and a hook, minus 115.
Well, I don't think a guy goes out and hits 60, whatever he hit, 62, 63, 64, whatever it was. I don't think a guy goes out and hits that many and then follows that up with another 60. He doesn't. I don't think he's going to hit 50. You know how many times Aaron Judge has hit 40 in his career? He has hit 40 home runs twice. Twice. That's it. In his rookie season, he hit 52. Then he hit 27, 27, 9, 39, and 62.
Yande Alvarez, 37 in a hook. Vladdy, 36 in a hook. Shohei, 35 in a hook. Salvi, 29. Tellez, 29 in a hook. Acuna, 30 in a hook. Devers, 32 and a half. Take the under there.
What's Mike Trout?
I'm getting there. Pete Alonso, 38 in a hook. Goldie, 29 in a hook. Mookie, 30 in a hook. Mike Trout, 39 and a hook.
Mike Trout wins the home run competition this year. He'll hit more home runs than any player in Major League Baseball, and he'll go over that 39 and a half.
Olsen, 35 and a hook. I'm just reading some bigger names. Manny, 30 and a hook. Kyle Tucker, 32 and a hook. Schwarber, 37 and a hook. Juan Soto, 31 and a hook. Here's one for you in your Angels play. Hunter Renfroe, 29 and a hook.
So think about that. Ohtani over however many and Renfroe over 30. You're going to have 2 or 3 guys that's going to hit 30 home runs for the Angels.
All right, so you had Hunter at 29 and a hook. You had 39 and a hook for Trout. And what was Shohei?
Shohei's what's he? 30, 35, 37? Something like that, right?
Shohei was 35 and a hook. So you got basically 105 between all three of them.
Mm-hmm. And that doesn't include what Rendon does.
If that guy ever could stay healthy. Oh my God.
Well, I'm just telling you, Jeff. I that's why I think that Seattle's in a spot. Like, do you really think that Julio Rodriguez as a sophomore season is going to be that much better than what he did last year? Sophomore season's the year that they come back and everybody goes, oh, I got a book on this guy now. So then the batter doesn't do as well as sophomore season. It's the third season. It's the third season they do better. So I expect Julio Rodriguez to not be as good.
I was listening to Jim Bowden, and he was talking with the Seattle GM, and then they had a Seattle scout.
DePoto.
Yes. And I think you might get this. They go as far as if so-and-so has a big year. And I'll just give you a hint. And I'll say it this way. It's a bounce back year. They've been waiting and hoping.
Oh, what, Kelenic?
Kelenic, exactly.
Well, Kelenic can be Rodriguez. He can be. He can be a bigger home run guy than Rodriguez. But what are you going to get from him? I will tell you his projection is only 102 games, only 440 at-bats. That's not good enough. His offensive WAR number is 1. That's not good enough. 17 home runs. That's not good enough. You know what I mean? But that doesn't, young kids are projected based off of what they have done in the past. And he hasn't done much. So he's got pedigree behind him, and he came up as an amazing player. So the question becomes is, can they unlock him from whatever is keeping him from being that amazing player? And if they do, then I think that he does have that chance to carry them forward a little bit. And I like that analogy that they'll go just as far as Kelenic will play. So the projections show he's going to platoon with A.J. Pollock. That's what it shows. So if that's what happens, I don't think they're as good as what they were before. I don't think they're as good as what they were before. And I certainly think that you're going to run into a problem with starting pitchers, right? So Logan Gilbert, you and I, we had the conversation on Tuesday. He's going to be innings limited. Now they're projecting him here at 178 innings. Kirby only at 135. That's a big miss if they can't get Kirby up there, because Kirby's got better stuff than Logan Gilbert does. Logan Gilbert's just a good pitcher that gets guys in and out of there. But you need Luis Castillo to be the Luis Castillo he was when he got there, and the Luis Castillo that was the guy that the Yankees wanted from the Reds, not the one that was kind of in the middle that was all shit and he couldn't pitch no more. So if he can be that guy, then you can move Robbie Ray back, and Robbie Ray doesn't have to pitch into those high leverage spots that he gets rocked all the time. And Robbie Ray really capitalized on that one season with Toronto, right? I mean, he goes up there and he comes a Cy Young winner, and then he goes and makes all this money. He goes and pitches like Robbie Ray normally does. So I think, and you still got Marco Gonzalez, who you just, well, what the hell is that all about? So I still think that this is a team that, yes, they're competitive. Yes, they got good players. They need a lot of those young players to keep growing. And I don't want to call it necessarily a regression for Julio Rodriguez, but the kid came out of nowhere last year. I shouldn't say nowhere. He's good, but he wasn't a top 5 prospect, but he turned into the best player in all of rookie Major League Baseball last year. So he was awesome. So now everybody thinks he's going to be that. Okay. Well, remember Randy Arozarena? Okay. Where's he been? What's he look like?
Unless I bet against the Rays, he's nowhere to be found. I'm telling you. He wakes up when I go against the Rays. You
follow where I'm going, right? I mean, I'm like, some of these people, when you start to think about what they are and who they're supposed to be, they become something else. And I'm not going to say Julio Rodriguez is not going to be a major star, but I will say that it's pretty tough to come back and hit 30 home runs and steal all the bases and be as good as you were when you were a rookie. When now all the teams know who you are, then you're not going to surprise them. You're not going to get a month and a half head start on them. You're gonna have to face. You're going to be in a position in the lineup that's more important than when you were when you first started. So there's going to be a lot more into it, and more is expected of you. And some guys can get through that the second year, and some guys can't. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out for them. But Texas can pitch. Texas can pitch. You put DeGrom up there, and I know everybody doesn't like DeGrom, and I don't know why. I know he got hurt, but Jeff, he's the best pitcher in baseball. He is. He throws pitches nobody can hit. I mean, it's just like if you go look at his FIP number, and you go, oh, good FIP number is 3 or 2.9 or whatever. Shit, most of the time his FIP number is 1.5 and shit like that. It's like, are you kidding me? His starting pitcher, right? He's got 13.9 strikeouts per 9 and shit like that. There was 100 miles an hour. It's like the ball you can't hit the guy. So he's the best pitcher in baseball. And if they can get 30 starts, let's just say they get 25 starts from that guy. Well, that's pretty damn good. And then they bring in Eovaldi too. That's better than what they had before. And they still got Martin Perez, who I don't know what he did last year. He woke up and just said, "Oh shit, I can pitch now." So Martin Perez did well. And then they get the kid back that they got from Colorado, and that guy is a good pitcher. He just was hurt. So I think they can pitch. They just have to get some of their younger players to hit. They got Cody Seager. He can play, but they need Jung. If Jung can play, who got hurt last year, and he can be what they think, I think they can play. They're going to certainly pitch, but I don't think they're going to be as bad at scoring as like the Marlins are. But I think that they're going to have struggles with the scoring part of it, and then now that they can pitch, maybe they can get some guys around that. And I think it's going to be competitive. I mean, we just talked about the Angels and the Mariners and the Rangers a little bit. Did I make a case for any of them to be better than the others? I don't know. I think the Angels might be the better of all of them, but they're not as good as the Astros. And Mike Trout, I like a lot for home run props.
What I'll do is for Tuesday and Thursday next week, we'll put together some futures, some props. We'll do maybe a AL preseason initial. We'll play a game. Who wins the division? We'll look at some of the numbers, and we'll do some NL. So on Tuesday, we'll plan around 7:00, and on Thursday at 9:00, we'll also do some updated numbers with the WBC. Closing thoughts, sir.
Well, I am excited for the WBC, probably more so than I've been in a while. Surprised at my brother-in-law that I didn't know that it was a bucket list thing for him, especially a guy in the Midwest. I'm like, holy shit, how does he even know what the WBC is? And I just wanted to say this just because it's made me mad the other day. I've seen this a couple times now on a couple different things. I saw Spanky post some stuff, and he was talking about how you win at this and all this stuff, and his big thing is, I got 14 guys that work for me, and they shop lines and they do this, and I get it. Look, man, I'm not going to argue with you. And he's like, I talk to these guys, and the more sports they know, the more stuff the worse bettors they are. And I'll agree with that too, to a certain degree. And then you get the Steve Fezzik's out there, that it goes out and he wins, the football betting thing, and then gets put on pregame and has all this stuff. And now he's a pretty famous bettor, and he's out there and he writes all these tweets about how how people aren't very good bettors and all this stuff. What I wanted to say is that, guys, those guys are names, okay? And if you put too much value on their names, shame on you. Because the truth of the matter is, Jeff and I are perfect examples of this. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And you don't have to know everything about how the lines work to win. You don't have to know everything about how teams play and how good they are to win. You have to have what works for you to win. And there's no one right way. There's some fundamental things that everybody does, whether you lined us all up and said, hey, what do you do? Every one of us is going to say certain things. Every one of us is going to go say, we don't pay minus 300 favorites, right? All of us are going to say that kind of shit. But to go out there and be an absolute drives me nuts. Because I think that's wrong. I was talking to somebody today, and they were like, you need to get on these shows where the kids are, because the kids, all you got to do is get them hooked, and they'll gamble on anything and blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm not into that. And the kids don't have money. I mean, but what the point of this whole thing is it's very wrong, and also part of today's environment and culture, that it's cancel culture, right? Everybody wants to be the absolute. Okay, well, there is no such thing as an absolute. Jeff, you're wrong on games. I'm wrong on games. We miss our opinions. We misread things all the time. But we're old and gray, so we get on here and try to help people become better. And that's what we do. And that's what we offer. And if you like that, then follow along and be great and do all these different things and voice your opinions, because we can learn from stuff too. And no one is going to sit here on my side of the aisle and go, your viewpoint is so poor that you can't learn from something, because you're going to tell me certain things sometimes, and I learned something. And then, a lot of times people sit there and they just tell you that this is the absolute way to do things. And and then they look down on you and belittle you for you not hiring 14 guys to go out and run numbers and do, equations and this and that, and then go have, 3,500 places that you can wager at, and then, get your best lines in and all that stuff. Okay, well, whatever. That's unreasonable. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. That's all.
It's called scalping, and it's illegal. So basically, in a nutshell, you get minus 115 somewhere, and then you get plus 116 somewhere. In other words, they're buying it where the game becomes irrelevant, and they're making 1 or 2 cents per 100, and they're playing 5,000, 10,000, and scalping. And it's illegal, frowned upon, as in banned. But, listen, Spanky, that's the problem with social media. Perfect example. You talked about it very well there. Thank you. Charles Barkley on TNT, who most people or whoever's listening to this show don't know Charles Barkley like we know him. The Mountain Round of Rebound, okay? The guy that came out of Auburn, okay? The guy that played with Moses Malone and Dr. J. And then if you guys don't know who it is, Google it, okay? He was a fun, happy-go-lucky guy. And then he goes out to Phoenix, okay? And he plays with Kevin Johnson, and he plays with Thunder Dan, and they were fun to watch. But you guys know Charles Barkley as the golfer that can't swing, as a guy on TNT that's always barking back and forth with Shaq that has a gambling problem, okay? So $100,000 loss to him is a $10 bill to me and Scotty. And I'm not disrespecting a $10 bill, trust me. The fact of the matter is, it's like Michael Jordan back in the heyday. Plays at the Garden on Friday, plays up in Philly on Saturday, and has a game in Brooklyn on Sunday. Well, after the Boston game, he goes right to Atlantic City. He meets the team in Philly. Then he goes and plays in Philly, and then he goes back to Atlantic City and then meets them. He loses $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million on that weekend. It's a drop in the bucket to him. So you guys get caught up in the sizzle, it's called. We're the steak, okay? We're the steak. So you either follow the sizzle. Did you hear who spanked or Charles Barkley's got tonight. Oh my God, I can't believe he took Golden State plus 5.5 tonight in LA. You know, the water cooler games. Okay, guys, and it's your bankroll, it's your money. You know, you go on Twitter, you go on Facebook, you go on Instagram, go on TikTok, and you follow these guys that are, hey, my name is Midwest Lou, and I've started the year 28-13, and I am a professional gambler who's been doing this for now 32 days. Okay. I got over 35 years. Scotty's got over 30 years. I've been on this face right here, this ugly face, gray hair. Twitter, January 15th, January 1st, 2015, we started. We're in our 8th full season. We haven't gone anywhere. The only thing that's gone is my damn hair, and it's gray now. That's it.
Well, I grew a little bit more facial hair. I think
I
it
can't
makes
grow that shit.
I think I look a little more distinguished that way.
So
whatever that means.
So Tuesday night, 7:00. Thursday night, 9:00. Myself and Scott will be back. Please go follow Scotty on Webby20 MLB. Sign up, do whatever you guys got to do. He sends out some amazing emails, some amazing content.
The Webby odds will be on there too coming up.
Yes, I can't wait for them. And follow myself at EC Sports Invest. Myself and Scott, thank everyone dearly. Another hour and 20 in the books. But we'll be back next week. Enjoy the weekend, guys. And make sure you mark the calendar. Turn on the notifications. Don't be shy. And we'll see you soon. Come on, Mousy. My Mousy fell asleep.
Yeah.